Hey, if you're watching this in the middle of a divorce or you're thinking about it, first of all, not here to judge you at all. I'm here to prevent the money decisions that take a painful life event, such as divorce, and turn it into a permanent retirement delay. Because divorce isn't the expensive part. The expensive part is what divorce forces you to do with money at the worst possible time. And the status quo advice is dangerously incomplete. People tell you, just split it 50-50 and move on. That's not a plan. That's a death sentence. Here's the challenge of truth. Equal is not the same as equivalent. And if you don't understand that, the settlement can look fair while your future gets quietly wrecked. Quick context, divorce after 50, otherwise known as gray divorces, has risen dramatically, and the research actually indicates that gray divorce rates have doubled from 1990 to 2010. And one peer review study actually found women saw about a 45% decline in the standard of living after a gray divorce, and men about 21. Let me give you a story that's painfully common. I want you to meet Chris and Nadia. Chris is 52. Nadia is 49. 2 kids, one of them's already out of the house. They're not reckless. They are the responsible couple. Here's what their balance sheet looks like. Pretty normal for an upper middle class adults in their late 40s and 50s. Their home is worth $900K. The mortgage, $500K. About $400K in equity. Chris has a $520,000 pre-tax retirement account, so something like a 401K. Nadia has $180,000 in her pre-tax retirement account. Joint brokerage account, $140K. Emergency savings, $18K. And here's the part that nobody tells you. The divorce didn't reduce their goals, it just duplicated their expenses. So when they say, hey, let's keep it clean and start fresh, what they really mean is let's make a bunch of permanent money decisions while we're emotional. Chris wants the house, not because it's optimal, because it feels like stability. Nadia wants the retirement assets, not because she did the tax math, but because she's terrified of being house poor and starting over at 49. So they land on a settlement that sounds fair. Chris keeps the house equity, Nadia keeps most of the retirement accounts, and they both say the most dangerous sentence in personal finance. Looks even to me. Neither of them are thinking about taxes, liquidity, and forced selling. So let's break down the 3 traps that show up in almost every divorce after 40. Trap number 1, you negotiate the wrong thing. People fight over the house like it's a trophy. They fight about furniture, they fight about who paid more. It's emotional and it's expensive. The correct question is not who gets what. The correct question is what is it worth after tax and how usable is it when life hits again? Because 300K is not always 300K. 300K in cash or brokerage is usable. 300K in a pre-tax retirement account is discounted by future taxes and withdrawal rules. 300K in home equity is locked unless you sell or borrow at whatever rate exists then. When someone says, hey, we split everything equally, I ask, did you split it equally or did you split it ignorantly? Now, here's a quick numbers example. One person keeps 400K in home equity. The other one keeps 400K in pre-tax retirement accounts. That's not equivalent, because taxes, selling costs, and usability are completely different. And divorce usually increases monthly expenses because one household becomes 2. So what happens? The person who kept the house becomes house rich and cash poor, and they're forced into debt or forced into selling just to survive. So here's what to do instead. Run an after-tax plus liquidity view of every major asset. You should be able to answer, if we sell it, what tax is triggered? If we keep it, what cash flow does it require? And if markets drop 20%, do we have options? If you don't do that, you're not negotiating a settlement. You're guessing, and guessing is expensive. Trap number 2, forced selling disguised as starting fresh. During divorce, people want clean. They want closure. They want control. So they say, let's sell investments. Let's pay off things. Let's simplify. That desire for clean often creates forced selling. Chris keeps the house and tells himself he'll figure out cash later, but the house doesn't pay the bills. The mortgage, property tax, insurance, maintenance, those don't get cut in half just because the marriage did. So within 3 to 6 months, the pressure starts. Legal fees, duplicated expenses, a couple surprise repairs, and then suddenly Chris is stable on paper, but cash starved in real life. And that's when the trap snaps shut. To stay stable, he starts borrowing from his HELOC, credit, whatever buys time. Then he's forced to pull from long-term assets at the wrong time. Or he sells investments he never planned to touch, just to keep the house. Nadia keeps the retirement accounts and feels relieved because it looks like security. But retirement accounts are not a checking account. Her expenses go up overnight. 2 households, new rent, new insurance realities, new everything. And then her cash buffer is thin because most of her money is locked up behind taxes, penalties, and timing. So when the legal bills hit, or she needs a down payment, or she just needs a runway while she rebuilds, she does what most smart people do under stress. She liquidates what she can. And if markets are down when she doesn't, she didn't just access funds, she permanently reduced the engine that was supposed to compound for her for the next 15 years. And here's the exact moment it happens. It's 11:30 at night. You got legal emails open, bills due, and your accounts are down 18%. And you tell yourself, I'll just sell some now and buy back later. That sentence costs people years. So here's the framework you need to use instead. Stabilize, protect, and rebuild. So to stabilize in this situation, your job is not to optimize. Your job is to stop the bleeding and prevent irreversible moves. The stabilize checklist, decision freeze. No big irreversible money moves for 30 days unless it prevents disaster. A minimum viable budget for the next 90 days. Bare bones. Separate operating cash from long-term assets and identify your must-pay items and lock them in. To protect. This is going on from 30 to 90 days. Protect means do not let the second punch knock you out. A second punch in divorce is usually the credit damage, legal tax surprises, cash flow mismatch, forced selling. So your checklist to protect is build a basic cash runway target, even if it's imperfect. Create a liquidation order before you need it and protect credit. Auto pays and joint accounts are landmines during divorce. And for the third stage of rebuild, and this happens 90 days and beyond, this is where most people fail. They survive divorce, then they drift for 2 years, and you guessed it, drifting is expensive. So the rebuild checklist is this. New retirement math, so new household, new burn rate, new timeline. You need to restart contributions quickly, even if they're reduced, and rebuild an emergency fund so the next surprise doesn't force selling. Trap number 3, lifestyle duplication denial. Divorce makes your life cost more because one household becomes 2, but most people keep spending like the old household still exists. They don't change the burn rate fast enough. Then the runway disappears, then the investments get sold, and then retirement gets delayed. This is not because you're bad. It's because you avoid math when emotions are high. So here's the adult move. Do the burn rate like a CEO. The burn rate audit, and do this within 2 weeks. Write down fixed costs. That includes housing, insurance, debt, transportation, variable costs like your food, subscriptions, discretionary, and emotional spending. The stuff that helps you cope short-term but wrecks you long-term. Then set one rule. For 90 days, spending is designed for stability, not comfort. Comfort comes after control. To yourself, I want you to say, my job is options preservation, not closure. I can grieve and still be strategic. To your lawyer or mediator, show me an after-tax comparison of these settlement options. I don't want a settlement that looks fair but forces something later. To family and friends, because you know they're going to be harping on you, I'm not making permanent money decisions while I'm emotional. So in closing, if you keep the house, but can't afford the life, you didn't keep anything. The next video is, hey, what happens if you're laid off after 40, the first 30 days, so it doesn't become 10 years? Again, quick note, I'm not your financial advisor. This is education to help you think clearly. I'll see you on the next video.